call out.
Gets rooted, they're going!
Teleport's coming in! Curtain call and Wish have already been used. A Trick is running away! Expect gets caught down. He's got a PA, remember, but he needs Mega... Delete it!
Competitive gaming. Voluntary activity of playing video games, but not for some typical reason an average human would be doing so. Instead of looking for entertainment, enjoyment, maybe story or discovery, there's a group of people who are playing games for sole purpose of writing GG easy in the all chat after victory. Let that settle for a second. But no, in all seriousness now. From an outside perspective, it may seem there isn't a better reason you would be engaging in activity that so often has you pulling your hair out, when you can just go and play so many gaming masterpieces that are out there. That said, it appears the actual motivations for picking up these types of games are much more complex, and I will touch on that later. One thing is obvious from the start though. The experience of playing competitive video game is often very frustrating and rage-inducing. When you think about competitive gaming, the first thing that comes to mind is some sort of player versus player combat, or PvP as it's commonly referred to. The practice is almost as old as gaming itself, cause whenever there's an opportunity for a bunch of apes to throw sticks and stones at each other, you bet they're gonna do just that. The history of competitive gaming and its evolution from humble beginnings to esports we know today is an interesting topic in itself, but today I want to focus on psychology and motivations alone. As mentioned before, playing these games is often very infuriating. So why are we even playing? When researching this topic, I stumbled upon quite surprising number of studies regarding the topic of gaming in general, and many of these focused on subject of motivations for gaming specifically. For example, a recent survey by Nick Heem measured 12 distinct motivations for each gamer, and over 250,000 gamers worldwide have taken the survey. The chart I'm showing right now shows the results for male gamers. It lists all 12 motivations in descending order from the most common to least common primary motivation. As we can see, competition came in as convincing first place for men, while the same survey shows very different results for female gamers, where competition came in at 8th place. This perhaps goes to explain the popularity of games like League of Legends and CSGO, which both have primary focus on competition. It can also answer questions like, why are communities of these games dominated by male population, as well as why is there next to zero professional female esports players? Seems women just do not play these games as much. However, as anyone who ever played Ranked League or honestly any other esport game can tell, winning in these games just doesn't feel nearly as good as losing feels bad. I'm talking from personal experience here if you couldn't tell. So I'm asking again, why are so many men playing competitive video games? To answer this question, we must first ask ourselves, why do so many men crave for competition in the first place? According to a large new study from University of Chicago, men are 94% more likely than women to apply for a job that is dependent on outperforming their colleagues. The study involving 7,000 job seekers in 16 large American cities concluded that most women shy away from competitive workplaces, whereas most men covert and even thrive in competitive environments. It seems that competition and comparison with each other is very common and considered normal for men of any age, as anyone who went to school can confirm. It kinda just goes from who has a stronger dad to who is driving a better car. Anyway, drawing upon evolutionary theory, it seems that male competitiveness originates from the elemental quest to find reproductive partners, food, and living space in humankind's early history. With these things at premium, it seems men were forced to compete mercilessly with one another. You see, the research suggests that competitiveness among male specimens of human species evolved a long time ago as a mean of making sure that we survive and leave offspring. So, is that it? Are we playing competitive games just because evolution shaped us to do so? Another study found that competitive game can offer services that fulfill many needs player might have, confirming previous study focused on global gaming motivations of online and offline competitive games. Other than competition, escapism and challenge were also identified as important motivations for many players. Escapism means that a player uses a video game to avoid thinking about real-life problems, slipping into character's role and becoming a persona that other players will like, admire or respect. Researchers also concluded this is one of the most critical motivations in problematic video game play and is one of the factors that can predict problematic video game usage. Also, it isn't a secret that humans like being challenged, so it isn't surprising challenge was one of the most common motivations to pick up these types of games as well. In this case, it's directly linked to one's desire for accomplishment, and a competitive video game can give a player something to strive for, some goal, as well as some potential reward to rejoice for. It also has some potential to teach young person an important life lessons like discipline and how crucial persistence is for success. On the other note, when going through all the research papers, one thing became obvious quite soon. So many of these researchers focused on examining the similarities of competitive gaming and esports to professional and problem gambling, as well as on addiction linked to excessive gaming. So I want to just briefly focus on the results they got. Research supports an idea that competitive gaming has potential to change dynamics and motivations for gaming itself. For instance, if a player can make financial living and career from playing video games, it becomes occupation rather than hobby. This raises interesting question about excessive gaming and potential addiction. You see, addiction is usually defined as psychological and physical inability to stop consuming a chemical, drug, activity or substance, even though it is causing psychological and physical harm. Like, for example, someone who is addicted to gaming may play games for a whole day, cut on their social interactions, not eat, and ignore school or other obligations they may have. But if we add that most professional esports players are required to play upwards of 12 hours a day, one question arises. Is it even possible to avoid psychological and physical harm in such conditions? On the other hand, in 2010 issue of International Journal of Mental Health and Addiction, it has been noted that long hours of video game use alone do not indicate video game addiction. When it comes to competitive gaming, many players will play excessively and spend hours and hours every single day either practicing or competing. For most competitive gamers, their whole life is dominated by the activity and will probably impact on their relationships and family life. But this doesn't necessarily mean they are addicted to playing the game, because excessive gaming is clearly a byproduct of the activity being their job. However, it can perhaps be argued that they are addicted to their work. So, okay, it's hard to answer if professional gamer who is playing upwards of 12 hours a day is addicted or not. So what about someone who is trying to break pro, isn't making a living of video games, but is also gaming that much? I want to ask a different question. What if it's required to play that much to even have chances to make it pro? As you can see, answering this question gets even harder, so in this video I won't even attempt to do it, because the topic really deserves a video of its own. I just wanted to bring it up since so many of these researchers did. It appears that the answer just isn't so clear-cut as it may seem. From all this, it appears that competition is an important driving force for so many men. It impacts everything they do in their lives, from professional career path they take to leisure activity they choose. So for some, just that natural competitive drive could be enough to keep queuing up for another ranked game of League, despite often feeling horrible afterwards. Others may play just to challenge themselves and to have something to strive for, or you may just be playing to fulfill that escapist fantasy and to distract your mind from personal issues. Sometimes, just the fact that our friends play any given game might be good enough reason for us to pick it up as well. But for most of us, it's likely any combination of motivations mentioned before, as well as some that are unique to us and us alone. And I just wanna say, small minority of gamers is good and lucky enough to make this their job, so their motivations are probably completely different. And if you believe that you might be one of them, just go for it, man. Try it out, do your best, and don't let anyone tell you can't do it. It's one hell of a job to have. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This was my first attempt at making YouTube videos, so if you liked what you just watched and want to see more, I encourage you to like and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you could leave any feedback in comment section regarding anything related to this video, I'd appreciate that as well. Thanks for watching again, and hopefully see you in the next one. Peace.